Okay, so well, here we are on a landscape job, and we're at Giles's house, and we're going to create a patio in here. So the client was offered two designs. In this one, you can see we've used a sort of a curved design and with a circular feature in the middle, and this gives you some idea of the perspective, like a 3D visualization showing the step up there into a raised patio. In the other one, what I did was a more formal area, and you can see that we've got these three compartments. Tried to sort of create some softening of the landscape by introducing triangles to get some planting into. The client went for the more formal one, so that's the one we're going to go with. So let's take a look at how it was built. So what we've been doing this morning, we've lifted loads of 3x2 slabs. We've stacked them up and we're going to replace them with a much nicer slab. We're just about to get the 3-ton dumper in here, and we've got the bobcat. Kev's there. Kev's digging out today, doing a great job digging out here. We've got a raised area there. There's quite a bit of topsoil, so we've got to get rid of the topsoil. And then we've got a notch out for the foundations of the walls, which will go around the sides. And then if we just come around here, just have a look what's happening around here. Brilliant. Where can I go and eat my sandwich? It does work, honestly, it does. So here, this is a bit of an interesting one because we've got to dig this out as well. Now, because we've got the digger and because there's a lawn down the back, we've actually used the 3x2 slabs just so we got something to go up on, just to stop really damaging the turf really badly. So we've run it along there. We've got some battens and boards as well, and we can just get round the side of the house just about, and then we're tipping it right on the front, and then we'll have a grab lorry which will take it from the front and take it away. So that's where we're at. So this is sort of pretty much day one of the build really, or the taking apart I should say. Hopefully the build will come soon. Okay. So this is day two of the build. Giles is just stacking up the engineering brick, the blues and the Victorian heritage we had delivered today. The heap of subsoil and topsoil is growing. We had to have a big delivery today and we had to drop it at the front. We've still got several bags to get in. We're going to use the dumper and we're going to strop it on the front of the dumper and drag it up. Well, it's going to be lifted off the ground and come up. So on this, what we did was tip the bucket as far forward as we could. We put the strop on it, and then we tilted the bucket back so it was flat, and it lifted the bag off the ground. And this worked really well. For a 3-ton digger, it's certainly a useful way of moving the materials right in. Unfortunately, the video coverage didn't work. The camera wasn't on properly. Otherwise, we'd have shown you how that worked. Done here is spray paint out the trench centre line so the bucket can go on that, and obviously you can dig out the trench for the foundation for the wall. Got a wall to come all the way around there. Kev is just finishing off that area at the top there, loading up the dumper, and then we've got some limestone in here. We're able to tip that straight in, which was good, and let's get that spread around so we're working clean. Trench centre line at the back. And so what Kev's doing now is setting his bucket right over the middle of the trench centre line, and that can go into a wheelbarrow, which we'll bring round just now. See, here we go, a little micro digger, perfect for this sort of job. Narrow down to about just over 70 centimetres is ideal. So today, putting the footing in for the walls, about 450, twice the width of the wall. It's going to be a 225 wide wall, so 450 is the strip across, and we're looking at about between 100 and 150 mil for the base. It's not a very tall wall, and just knocked pegs in, so the pegs were knocked in level, so you can see a peg there in the middle and a peg down here. And what we do is put the concrete in, tap it with the float, and then get it reasonably level with the float. Just check it then with the spirit level just to make sure and a straight edge just to make sure that it's okay. So just looking around here, you can see that what we've got, there's the steps, ready for the footings for the steps up there. We've got electrical cable buried under there, and there's some more footings there on the far side. Then the bricks are all ready in pillars, should be covered over at the top really, just to stop any water getting into them. Okay, so what we've done is foundation went off last night, so that's so we're up the next day, perfectly fine to build on. And what I've done is build up the corners. So what you do is you run the first course in level, so you get this nice and level through, and then obviously build up the corners, and making sure you come up the same amount each time, and checking that the plumb, plumb in that way, plumb round the end. And then just check that the ranging's good. Put your spirit level on the side to make sure the ranging's all good. And then of course, the beauty of this, once you've built up the corners both sides, you can put your corner blocks on, and then you're running to the line. So that's the beauty now. I can just build just running them to the line, and that will saves a lot of checking with spirit levels all the time. I've gone for a slightly firmer mortar, only slightly, than normal bricks, because these are a bit denser, and if you have it too wet, you'll stain your bricks. We're trying to keep it fairly clean, because these do stain really easily. So we'll just get this line running, and then we're going to start thinking about the steps. So we're always work to the material. So we've got a material that we've recycled. Effectively what we've got, it's all got to be cleaned off of course. Effectively what we'll have is we're going to have two of these side by side, and then that will come back. We'll do two steps so we get up onto this top area. Okay, so that's where we are today. Okay. So what we've done is we've built the corners up, just built the corner up there, and at the other end we've got a step up here because the ground is dropping away, and so we've had to put a step up. And obviously when you step up you work to your bricks plus the mortar. These are imperial, so it's 73mm plus your mortar, 83mm with a 10mm joint. So these are your engineering brick. This is a Victorian engineering brick to match the style of the house. So what we're doing is just getting a little bit of mortar, just working that a little bit, pick it up, drop it down, knock it with the trowel until you get a nice tube, and then throw that out. You can roll it backwards as well. Just come underneath the string. Obviously what you want to aim to do is to build up the corners and then run things into a line, because obviously that's a lot quicker. So just pull back a little bit there, turn it over, pull back, and then just, what I'm doing now is just trying to make sure it's about the 10mm, ideally just a fraction over, so that when I put the brick in, it will just press down, and then it will be pretty much 10mm. So I'm just popping a little bit in there, just need a little bit more in that bit. And also try to keep this quite vertical, so that when we put the mortar on, And notice I'll just push it to one side to try and fill that joint a bit. You can see I've left one or two joints, so I've got a bit of pointing to do, which is not so good. So it fills up the gap between them. And checking obviously your perps, your perpendiculars, to make sure that you're running pretty much vertical on those joints. So just do that again. So get a mortar, tap your trowel or flick it, pop your mortar on. Just going to use a little bit more actually there. Just move it to one side, just so you've got a nice joint. So when you push it up, it will close up. Okay, so I'll just pop that one in there. Clean off the edge with the side of the trowel to reduce staining the bricks, because that's a big one with engineering brick. It's easy to stain them and make a right mess. Here, there's a little bit of mess on the blues there, but very difficult to avoid it. The other thing I've got to think about with this one is where I'm going to put my drainage holes to let all the water, the hydraulic water, out of the wall when we put the soil back, because you don't want to build up a water at the back of the wall. I am reinforcing this with, I put a few pillars and also putting some blocks at the back to strengthen up the wall, which will hopefully make that a little bit better. So there we go. Now the other thing with this one, the other issue we've got is that because these are imperial bricks, our block is metric. We don't have an imperial block, or I didn't have one at the builder's merchant, so it is a bit lower than 3 courses of brick. So it does mean I'm going to have to put a bigger joint on the block at the back to build it up to the right height. Any bigger, if the wall was bigger, I'd use hollows and put reinforcement down it to give a lot more reinforcement, but because this isn't holding a vast amount of soil back, just a block and a brick will be okay. So there we go, just that's all ready. So we'll just pop a few more down, and then there we go, pop that in, so we're looking at nice and vertical. And there we go, just down to the line. And what you can do, if you really get sort of better or more proficient, what you'll do is you'll push it into place and push it into the line, so you're doing no hitting with your trowel, or very little hitting with the trowel, maybe just a tap. That's it. And that's what gives you speed, getting your joint the right thickness. You get that the right thickness, about just a fraction over 10 mil, then you really can push them into place, and that's going to, if you're not knocking them, you're not going to spend a lot of time then laying each brick, so you get a lot faster. The other big thing, of course, is the mortar itself. Normally we'd have it wetter than this, but because these are engineering, they don't suck the water out. It's a little bit drier, and we don't want them to stain either, so although normal brickwork is a lot wetter, these were just that little bit drier with the mortar. Okay. Just, look, that's it. Halfway there. Well, good morning. It's a little bit drier today. We had a wet end to the day yesterday, so just putting the sort of engineering bricks on the top. So what we're doing is obviously set up a line, lay 3 one end and laid 2 or 3 this end. We've got a tingle plate, so you bed one in the middle that's at the right height, wrap a piece of paper around it, put it on top, just so you haven't got any sag in the middle. And then what I've done is I've spread a bed of mortar, and what you're doing here is you're just trying to get it pretty much right, that you can push them into place. So you don't want to be thumping them, and if you do knock them, use something like a rubber hammer. Don't use your trowel, because if you tap that with a trowel, all the mortar off your trowel will land on top of the brick. So what we'll do is just get a little bit of mortar and just a little bit down there, drag it backwards, a little drag on there, drag it down there, and that will kind of fill up. If you want to, you can put a little bit more, especially around the top, just to make sure you've got a nice full joint. I should have done that a little bit more. I've got a bit of pointing to do. And then what you do when you put it into place, just sort of come under and push it up a little bit and drop it down into position. Then use your hands and just a little bit more on that side actually. And then you should have that in place. You see the joint now, outside in, outside in. We're going to do a little tap with that, and that will keep that all nice. Now when you get close to the end, of course, you've got to lay your bricks out to make sure it's going to work. You might have to tighten the joints up or increase them. I've actually just increased the joint a little bit. Normally you get 3 of these to 1 the other way, so normally we're laying them 3 to 1, but you can see I've had to open them up a little bit just to make sure that it works out. So you can either squeeze them in a bit or open them up. So you lay them out dry, just so that works. So hopefully if the weather stays fine, we'll get round here. See you later. That's great. So what we've got here, we've got a difficult corner. We've got this sort of obtuse angle, if you like, and you can see that when the bricks come here, one there, we've got to do some cuts, and we don't want the holes to be shown on the outside. So one way to do that is I'm just going to take that one away. I'm going to put that one next to this one, okay, like that. Put another one next to it like that, just so it's just at the end. Just space them out a little bit better. This one can come in a little bit actually. And as long as they're in a line here, what you can do is I can get a piece of wood, get my cutter. I could mark them. I could use a sliding bevel actually and measure the angle and use your protractor and divide it by 2. But actually the easiest thing to do is to put a piece of wood across, allowing for the joint, allowing for the mortar joint, and just obviously make sure you've got your PPE on and score that down. And so what I did, I scored it down, had to go all the way around and cut in, and then what that does, that gives you, I've now got that one there, then that one, okay, and then obviously I'm onto a full brick there. Oops, make sure it's the right way up. And then I'll do the same there. I've got that one there, just adjust that a little bit, so that then you end up with this kind of shape, and it's a way of getting around a difficult corner by bisecting the angle. So just lay your bricks out, use the wood, and that's a nice easy way. Another thing we're doing in this job is we're putting lights in. So you can see here, if I just push that one out, he says, if I can just get the camera and just knock that out, just so you can see it. But there's, I had to leave out letterboxes for lights, and there's a little gap through, so I've actually left a brick out so I can put an IP68 box, which I'll show you in a minute. I've got a load, and we're going to put that's going to sit in there. Then I've got to kind of waterproof that a bit, and all my connections for the lights will go into that. I'm going to run it really low, so the cable's going to be run low, 450 below the wall. Then I'm going to use conduit up the wall and into it. I thought about putting it in the middle of the wall, but in the end I've decided just to come up from the floor and use some conduit, and I've got armoured cable for the majority of it. Okay, cool.